Well, everybody, I'm going to give a little update on the project submissions to date. So we've received about 60 submissions to date, which really kind of expresses the interest we have from early adopters that want to get involved at an early stage before state channels are built, before the Hypercube's built, before people can actually start to get in and build out their own business on a blockchain. And I thought I'd give a little overview of what happens next and where are we going. So in the submissions, we've kind of broken it down that we've received multiple universities expressing interest for their students to build on Constellation, for them to solve many issues in their communities as well. Universities take a very active role in the community that they're a part of and are looking to create solutions with our cryptocurrency as well as our technology. We've received a ton of interest from healthcare professionals where they have data concerns and opportunities to tokenize various aspects of the healthcare industry, down to a lot of cybersecurity solutions. I think this goes in part on how we define one of our use cases as solving cybersecurity issues, and people really receiving that and articulating how they can actually use our technology to solve some sort of subset of cybersecurity. And a lot of crypto entrepreneurs see an opportunity to take our technology and solve some issues that are occurring in the industry at large. So we're pretty excited about this. And from a high level, we saw that most companies most projects, most ideas needed advisory services. So they were looking for support from our community, from Constellation, on kind of our knowledge on helping them fully flesh out their idea and fully kind of expanding on their business opportunity, and less about the kind of technological component. And then a lot of people expressed interest in fundraising, a lot of people expressing interest around marketing support. How do they get their idea out there? How do they attract the community to really kind of embrace their idea? And so, you know, as a team and as a Stardust Collective, we all got together a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, what more can we do with all of this? And so the outcome of what we saw was that we're creating the Constellation Flight Program. And the Constellation Flight Program is going to be a 10-week cohort that's designed to be an accelerator. So over the next several months, we're actually going to be looking through the different projects, and we're going to start following up with all these projects and ideas, and we're going to start collecting more information. So behind the scenes, the Stardust Collective and the various pod leads have put together a series of questions that we're going to reach out to each of the ideas, each of the projects, each of the businesses to collect more information. This is going to help us design the Constellation Flight Program and Accelerator. And so we're going to be leaving the submissions open until mid-July. So July 19th, we're going to close submissions, and this will define cohort 1. And during this time, we'll start to filter out the projects that we want to be included in this cohort. And the kind of interesting idea that we came up with was that it would be more beneficial for all of these different ideas to come together and actually learn from each other and feed off each other, where the different projects that are involved in the cohort can actually expand on their idea. Hold on a second.
While you're doing that, I'll just jump in and you know, one of the things that we see a lot on these projects is the white paper, and that's one of the things that will be also a guide to a lot of these entry points. Just want to throw that in there, since that's one of the things that I think determines a really solid project is a well laid out business plan with each of these components well defined.
Yeah, so on that point, the entire program will consist of our advisors, people from our network, people from our community, Constellation leaders giving talks, educating people on how to further define their idea, where the output is a white paper. It is a solid tokenomics paper. It's fully fleshing out their idea. And so we're already in the process of inviting various industry leaders, as well as, as our advisors, to come in and participate and help educate each of these projects that are in there. So on August 2nd, we're going to announce the different projects that will be involved in the cohort, and this will be the first presentation of all these projects that are going through this, the different ideas. And so people can start to see what is the collective of Constellation and what are people building in a very transparent way. And the program will commence on August 9th, and this will start the next 10 weeks of different workshops that will consist of people talking about how to improve their tokenomics, how to talk through their business idea. And this will also be the time for these projects to reach out to different community members, to get advisors, to get that support for marketing their idea. And then we're really excited to announce this, and this is something that we had a really great idea a while ago around doing a Constellation community event. So we want to do an in-person event in sometime around mid-October into November. We're still figuring out that date right now, but this will be a virtual and live event with the goal of kind of meeting the team in person, meeting contributors, and various people within our network, while also conducting a pitch day for all of the projects. And we're already putting down some ideas on how to make this a very inviting virtual event where people can stake DAG to show support behind each of the projects. So we're going to make this a really, really fun event and send out invitations for the Constellation community event coming up. We're going to keep this a pretty intimate engagement, but we're going to open this up to the community. So really exciting stuff that we've seen here. I think our entire company is excited to participate and engage with the Constellation Flight Program. We're excited about doing this live in-person event towards the end of the year, and I think it'll be a really good opportunity for us all to connect. So next slide. Going through the Stargazer Wallet, we have an amazing update today. We are launching the Buy DAG solution in the Stargazer Wallet. We're currently in the process of getting this accepted on the Google Chrome store. So expect next week that this feature will be greenlit and available on the Stargazer Wallet. And I want to walk through what we've done differently with this Buy DAG feature. And so on the right, and I'm going to walk through a quick demo on how easy it is to purchase DAG with a credit card. But essentially, we're going to have this Buy DAG button that will exist on the Stargazer Wallet, and this will take you to a website where you can put in your credit card. To do this, we have been building a partnership with a company called Givebox. And our focus of why we wanted to feature this was not for the crypto person that's already involved in crypto, but for a lot of newcomers that see DAG as a very safe company. It's a US regulated company. We have federal contracts, and we get a lot of people wanting to know how to buy DAG that's not from a centralized exchange. Maybe they don't trust it, it's too cumbersome. So really, we wanted to invite newcomers to make it very easy for them to purchase DAG through Constellation. So we also set out and said, okay, well, we couldn't work with many of these solutions that were aggregates because we couldn't control the payment fee. So we went directly with Givebox. They are a PayFac. They are regulated payment facilitator. And what that means is that they are the actual payment rails. So we actually get to define our economics and business model by working directly with a payment facilitator. This is very different than working with a PayPal. A PayPal, for example, is a payment aggregator where we wouldn't have much control as a merchant on our payment processing fees. and we wouldn't have the transparency of where those payment processing fees went. Also, this gives us an opportunity to work with nonprofits in the crypto space. And one of the intentions and missions that we had as founders when we found Constellation was to give back at the end of the day. And with all the wealth that's accruing in the crypto space, we wanted to find a regulated and safe way for us to give back to charities. So 30%, by working with Givebox, we actually are able to donate a percentage of our payment processing fees directly to nonprofits. And then the other major bullet point on why is that because Constellation is a zero transaction fee network, we can actually we don't have to deal with dynamic gas fees that could make this extremely expensive to process a credit card to purchase DAG. And so because we have zero transaction fees on our network, we're actually able to create a very streamlined way to purchase crypto and purchase DAG in Constellation. So I think all of these things kind of helped us create this kind of why of making it very easy and attainable and approachable for people to get involved in Constellation. A little bit of who Givebox is probably because it's not a household name. Givebox is the world leading payment facilitator that works with the nonprofit sector. So they've been working with the nonprofit sector, which is a largely unrepresented and underserved market of nonprofits. So working directly with them allows us to work directly with nonprofit merchants and give back directly to nonprofits. By working directly with Givebox, we're actually able to open up a deeper partnership around the mechanics of payment facilitating. And that's something we're going to be talking about more in the future. And I'm not going to spill out anything today, but this kind of really sets kind of a little seed and clue into what we're doing in the payment space that most people haven't really been thinking. Givebox also works with 500 merchants that are nonprofits. So this gives us a direct access into various nonprofits that are already processing payments. I think a lot of you can start to get an idea of where we're heading to this in the near future, but this is a really good soft launch on what we're trying to do in the payment space. The other major thing I wanted to address and be transparent about is who supplies the DAG to be sold. So when we connect with the payment processor, we ultimately have to connect with a wallet. So to kick off the first phase of DAG, the Constellation Foundation has donated DAG to seed fund the wallet to sell DAG. And this is not something we're going to do in perpetuity, but in phase 2, which we've already done, is launch a validator node that the validator rewards received from that node will filter into the wallet that sells DAG from the Stargazer Wallet. And then phase 3, we're going to be opening this up to the community, where the community or holders of DAG or other node operators will be able to sell DAG through the Stargazer Wallet and truly making this a decentralized payment solution. So we're really excited. This has already been in the works for several months, as you can imagine. And you can't structure deals like this when you don't work with a PayFac directly. So for us, I think this is a pretty awesome achievement, as it just opens up our entire community to participate in what we're building while also giving back to nonprofits. So the other big aha moment in that working with Givebox, we'll be charging about a 4.9% processing fee, and we're going to be extremely transparent on where that processing fee goes. That 4.9%, of that 4.9%, about 2% of that goes towards the Stargazer Foundation, which is a foundation that's part of the Constellation Foundation as well. And 30% of those processing fees will go directly to nonprofits. To start out with, we're going to be only working with nonprofits in the Givebox network, so across their 500 merchants. 30% of that will go towards various, some of the nonprofits. In phase 2, we're going to start to open that up to community governance. We're going to invite charities on a quarterly basis, maybe even a monthly basis, to vote on the charities that that receive the donations accrued from the payment processing fees through the Stargazer Wallet. So really exciting for us all. I think this really kind of rallied the entire company in a very healthy way, because we're seeing how much wealth is created in crypto, and we're not seeing regulated and viable tracks to helping fulfill the desires of nonprofit organizations. So I'm going to show you briefly kind of what the buy DAG will look like. This will be available through your Stargazer wallet. So when you go up to your wallet, you're going to see your Stargazer wallet. It's going to pull up right here. There's going to be a buy DAG button that will light up. We're still putting the final touches. But when you click on the buy DAG button, it'll take you to this website. And you'll say, hey, I want to buy 100 DAG. We take an aggregate of various prices across different exchanges, and that reveals kind of the amount of DAG that you can buy. And then it's going to show your processing fee right here. It'll also show how that's broken down. And then the name on the card, I'm going to put, Benjamin Jorgensen for the card. I'm going to just type in phony card because this is a test transaction. And I'm not going to show everybody my credit card because I don't want you guys going to Macy's and getting crazy.
Just ask me for it.
Put it, and then I'm going to put in my email. I feel like I'm getting good at doing live demos. You're going to see the transaction receipt, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to sign this. I'm going to sign this to the network. And there's going to be a little time that says that it's processing, and within a few minutes, you'll actually get the transaction ID, the timestamp, and you'll be able to look on the DAG Explorer to see that you have it, and then that amount will show up in your Stargazer wallet. So why it's not showing up right now is because this was a test transaction, but it's going to be as simple as that. And I've actually done a live transaction yesterday where I bought 10 DAG with my credit card, and it showed up within seconds. And all of this is run through our network. It's pretty awesome to see the convergence of centralized banking into decentralized networks and the power of our network validating all this.
I just want to give you a shout out, man. I know that you've worked really hard on this. Jorgensen's behind the scenes, personally championing this project for a long time. The skunk works behind the scenes. I'm only saying this from being kind of riding shotgun, is pretty intricate. And I think it should be kind of underscored that this is a soft launch. We're getting this thing going, and there's a lot to be explored in it. But at the base layer, like these phases that Ben has outlined are a really great path to building this out into something really great. But just want to give you a shout out, buddy. I've got my headphones in, so the foghorn or the rave horn doesn't work as good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. This has been a fun project. And so for my piece to kind of finish off here, I wanted to give a little ecosystem update. And this diagram off to the right is something that Martien, our PM, put together after, I've been kind of talking about this holy trinity, which clearly everybody wants to change the name on what we're talking about. But everybody's starting to get the idea that when we isolate each major product of the Constellation ecosystem, the protocol, Lattice Exchange, the Stargazer Wallet, each of them have competitors in the space. Stargazer Wallet has MetaMask, the protocol has Solana, Ethereum, IOTA, Lattice Exchange has SushiSwap, Uniswap, Binance Smart Chain. And, when we look at those individually, we can see the competitors. But the competitive advantage that Constellation has is that we're the intersection of all three of those. We get to essentially see the roadmaps of a DeFi platform or protocol, a wallet, where they all start to interoperate between each other. And so over the past few months, we finally hit that point where the foundational elements of each of these have been completely built out. And so over the next, half of the year, the next 6 months of this year, you're going to start to see communications, marketing, products start to really come to fruition that are really solving problems in the space, which is extremely exciting for us and exciting for us as a company to start to see the convergence happen and see us accelerate our technological roadmap as it pertains not just to enterprise partners, but also to the crypto ecosystem. And what's fascinating is like our whole team is starting to see the opportunity. We're all seeing it from a community standpoint where swapping fees are astronomical, looking at anywhere from like $300 to $600 just to swap between tokens on Ethereum and Uniswap. It's astronomical, but the main thing that's happening here is that everything's being done from the wallet. Everything's being done from the wallet, very much like people shifting over from desktop computers to mobile wallets. Like it's an amazing transition that's happening, and so is the entire crypto space. And our company is operating in stride. And so we're going to start positioning ourselves as a collaborative between all three entities, that solutions built on Lattice Exchange will start to be built into Stargazer Wallet, and the protocol will start addressing those high swapping fees. Like truly an exciting time for us all, because we see the pain points of having to pay those swapping fees. And I don't know, nobody's excited about just dumping $500 down the drain. So Lattice Exchange, we have several updates coming up. We're really hitting our stride as a team. We've got a new website being built out that combines the demo site from what you see on our main marketing website. We have the KYC portal that's coming out, which will open the path for certain projects to do the Lattice Launchpad. And the KYC portal will first unlock Lattice Lending, which is on its path to being a competitor to BlockFi and Celsius. Very excited about this. And cross-chain swapping. We've already started developing this state channel out, and we're on track, as we mentioned in our roadmap, for Q3. This is extremely exciting because we know a clear problem that we can solve, and we can make a huge impact on the space by lowering transaction fees as well. So, guys, get ready for what's coming up with the ecosystem. It's absolutely fascinating, from the Constellation Flight Program, accelerating ideas, getting them ready to be built, build L0 tokens on the Constellation Hypergraph, to the Lattice Exchange really taking a bite out of those swapping fees, and our wallet being one of the most central figures of this organization that's going to kind of bridge the gap between fiat and centralized banking all the way to decentralized finance. So pretty exciting times. Diggles, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, buddy. Once you hit that next slide, you're going to be my driver here. Yeah, you know, I always give you shout outs, and I know you've worked so hard on bringing this vision together, and it's awesome, man. And I know the number one question I get from people in my circles are, how do I buy DAG? How do I buy DAG? At the moment I start to, okay, step 4, they're like, there's got to be an easier way. And so you putting the gas down on making that happen is going to be a game changer for especially that group. And then, of course, the community I hear the most is like, hey, how do I stake a node? How do I stake a node? And that's coming. We're certainly working hard behind the scenes on the different entry points of making that a really robust and killer program. But I'm here to talk about federal, not necessarily the sexiest thing, but super cool. And before you go to the next slide there, Ben, I just want to state like the one-to-many strategy and why this is continually percolating into that direction. It's not that I'm going to keep saying we're a small team. We want to be a small team, and we're going to continue to run as efficiently as possible as we can by tapping as many external resources as we can that are, potentially better at certain things than we are. And, one of the great examples for those that know some stuff about the legacy or traditional SaaS or software as a service space is there's this idea of a system integrator that I've talked about. And these are folks that, whether in the commercial space or in the federal space, they're the boots on the ground that are working for large corporations to consult with them on their IT workflows, how to absorb emerging technologies and really take themselves to the next level. And I'm sure you've heard some of the names out there like Deloitte or Accenture or PwC. And there's probably a bunch of names you haven't heard of. It's a very competitive space because as a business, it's not always the easiest to hire a bunch of these folks to do this for you when you may not have that practice over time. So this also exists in the federal space. So today I want to talk a little bit about how we're maturing, what our efforts are in the federal space. And I'm very excited to talk about this program that I've put together that we're rolling out. It's also going to be echoed by the enterprise space, which I'll share in a couple weeks. But Ben, if you can go to slide 6, that would be great. So I'm calling it Blockchain Plus. And the reason why I call it Blockchain Plus, Federal Blockchain Plus, and we're also going to have Enterprise Blockchain Plus, is because not just as blockchain, but as an infrastructure tool, it's really something that's additive to other things. You know, it's kind of like electricity in the sense that it needs to be conducted to some form of a utility or an application to be effective. By itself, it's just this thing. And we talk a lot about the use cases and the capabilities and the features, and all of these things are really important because we can flex a network that most can't touch, or really anyone can touch. I'd love to say that. And so because of it, we have to talk about the applications, the use cases. What does blockchain make better? And so every engagement I've seen in federal to date, as well as enterprise, has an additive to blockchain. And a good example I would say is, you know, when I'm going out to work on an opportunity in federal, and they get really excited that I say, oh, we don't store any of your data. And that makes them feel really good that Constellation doesn't store any of the data. We just store a hash of the validation criteria, and that's it. But they still need their data to be secured. They still need that data to be up to those compliance measures. So while we do offer something really great, there's still holes out there that it's in our best interest to understand that language versus just being like, sorry, whatever you want to deal with monitoring, analyzing, or storage or hosting, that's up to you. That's not a great partner. We don't want to be that partner. So that said, a good example of Blockchain Plus is us and Kinnemy, right? They're the storage solution. We cryptographically secure streaming data. And so forth. So it's kind of a match made in heaven. But to take it up a level, if you think about Blockchain Plus and you look at these different entry points below it, artificial intelligence, we've talked about AI. It needs clean data for the algorithms to really spit out the best outcomes, not profound. So if we're able to do that from a streaming perspective, blockchain plus artificial intelligence really brings forth the promises of automation. I'm sure you guys have heard me hearing me say it over and over, but that's such an important piece. Same with machine learning. Same with the big data security. How do you get those security levels with massive data that's pouring through? It's really hard to validate that stuff and secure it when you're dealing with so much of it with central systems. Very expensive. We've talked about it. Very slow, low security. So blockchain plus those streaming pipelines adds a massive amount of security. Mesh networks. This is another area that you're going to continue to hear us talk about because mesh networks, while they have this massive promise of really cool things, the restraints or the constraints to actually making these networks work are really hard. You know, when you think about how are we going to take Constellation nodes, turn them into light nodes, get them on the smallest devices possible, all the way down to the sensor level, so that we can potentially create even like LAN networks in the moment. You know, it opens up so many different opportunities. And so, you know, drones are a really big piece of this. And you'll hear us talk more about our engagement in the drone world because this is like the perfect area for green pasture of mobility when you think about tapping into new infrastructure and new opportunities. And then, of course, there's edge computing. And this is a lot of stuff we talked about when we're talking about mobility and how do cars make those critical decisions in the moment at the edge of the network without having to send that data up to a central server and come back down. And so blockchain plus, and again, this is just, I feel like a subset, these 5 things, we really can affect so many different areas, but blockchain plus these solutions really creates the combo. And so looking down below, we never really set out to be a federal contractor. I'm not going to sit here and tell the community that like, oh yeah, well, that was by design. When we were looking for entry points, we noticed that federal would be the biggest data sets with the highest validation for our technology and potentially the lowest barrier to entries imposed to commercial. And while that sounds crazy, that's actually been the case. And we've been rather successful with our relationships there. But I, as the relationship owner of these different entities, I've had to make a decision of what type of company are we going to be? Because I don't feel that we're best suited to be on the front lines of being a government prime, because again, we're additive to other initiatives. So I've switched our program in a way that we've already seen this with many different submissions that have included us, that we're better suited for folks to submit a solution that requires blockchain as a mission critical capability and includes us in it as the subcontractor. That said, I still have initiatives that we've touched on in the past. These phase 2s that I'm working on, we're still going very myopic with the US Transcom. They are the largest data creator. And so we feel that our relationships and our time are best suited there as a lead. That said, moving forward, we've decided that it's best if we bolt on to others' initiatives. So I put together a playbook on SBIRs or STTRs or national seed funds or NIST submissions. There's tons of transaction vehicles out there in the federal space that are looking for blockchain capabilities within different topic areas, right? And so we wanted to bucket these different opportunities in the phase programs that the government works in, so that we had clear lines of how we would get involved in those that want to submit. So this is almost a call to anybody that's listening right now. If you have a technology that you believe would be better off with blockchain and you could submit to getting a government contract, this is how you would work with Constellation, like we are working with other partners. In the phase 1 awards, we would write a letter of collaboration, which would mean that we would put dedicated resources to understanding what your solution is. Say you want to do drone mesh networks for combat capabilities. We would go deep into understanding what it is from an architecture or capability perspective and validate that our solution actually can make it work, and work with that entity on finding the right entry point within the DoD or whatever the program is, maybe DHS. And we'll even bring ecosystem alignment. Like I said, I've got a deep Rolodex, so I can bring folks into this and activate them as appropriate within that phase. Phase 2s, we're going to take a larger chunk because there is a technology prototype capability within that. And again, these are rough numbers, so I don't want to be held to the coals on these, but within a phase 2, I do see if there is a solution that requires some form of data security, data exchange, validation, interoperability, all the promises that we bring to the table, it's going to probably require 25% of the total effort for us to roll up our sleeves. Again, we'll write a letter of collaboration, dedicated resources, and do ecosystem alignment. That said, there's going to be plenty of other people, since we are an open source solution, that want to submit, and we would just write a letter of support saying, yeah, we believe these folks, but we're probably not going to get heavily involved, and we won't take any of your contract rewards. So you can go out there and go forth and do this. The reason why this is important is if you look at Simba Chain and what they've done with Ethereum, Ethereum is this base layer protocol, right? Simba built a business independently on top of them to go take their canvas into Navy engagement so that they could use it for distributed ledger technology, smart contract capability testing, and hopefully deployment. So this is the same concept where Constellation is that base layer protocol, and other entities would go forth and submit on, not necessarily on our behalf, but we would be that named strategic blockchain partner to make sure that their solution will work. So again, one to many, this allows us to scale. So Ben, you want to go to the next slide? And again, this is stuff you can find on our website, on our government page, but I just want to drive this home, that these are the core federal benefits that we bring to the table. And I just touched on them on the previous slide when I was talking there. But these are massively important, especially when you start thinking about data validation. When we're talking about multi-domain or channels of data coming from many different places, and as you've seen what's going on with like the pipeline hack and a lot of these things that are really affecting massive infrastructure that could affect human lives all the way to costing lives, this is high priority stuff. So just want to drive this home that we have these core federal benefits, but I really believe by us putting forth this blockchain plus federal program to allow others to submit, we're starting to open it up and allowing playbooks to breathe a little bit deeper beyond just going in and saying, hey, we can validate data. They're going to want to say, we want to validate data for X to have this type of an outcome, and we're opening it up for that X. So I'm going to go through the last slide here, slide 8. And this is just kind of to show the maturity of where we're at as a company. Again, I'm kind of a old school tech guy, and come from Oracle. And one of the things that was, tooth and nail is that we wouldn't have let certain people touch certain systems or do certain things on our behalf unless they were certified. And we had to send them through, kind of pretty rigorous certification processes. And so that we had the confidence to be able to say, yes, this is our certified partner we work with, and you're in good hands, right? And so when we start to look at the federal government saying, all right, hey, we need somebody with top secret clearance to do data validation and configure this data schema so that we're securing this data coming from here and doing X, Y, Z. We want to be able to point them to our strategic system integrator federal partner that's been certified, that's going to be the one that's going to be touching those systems. And we supply them with the resources, frameworks, toolkits, everything we can supply from either Hypercube or whatever the mission need is, and they act on our behalf. This isn't profound, but I think it's important that everyone understands that we're scaling from a startup to a mature organization with workflows that really enable these world-class partners to be our eyes and ears and hands in these initiatives. So we have to make sure that we're organizing it in a very apropos way that can scale. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to touch on it. That's all I had today, but I'm going to be going through the same sort of process for enterprise, because same thing. We have a lot of enterprise customers that are interested in building with us, but we have to figure out the best partners to work with so that we can scale business from a one-to-many mindset. So as far as the last thing I'll say, I promise, but as far as my phase 2 engagements, I'll have some announcements here that are very specific to the work we're doing. It's all going rather well, but there is red tape galore. Like I said, some of the issues that come with us not storing data is they have a hard time understanding, if we're not touching the system, what type of stuff we need for access, because it's a completely different model. The cloud hybrid model from the past was rather easy for them to isolate because central servers are easy to put security around. But once you start to decentralize, it adds new kind of cumbersome things. So that's all I got, Jorgensen. I just wanted to get people up to date on the federal stuff. I know it's happening, and hopefully if anybody has any questions, you can hit me up on Telegram.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Diggles. Good to hear the update, and I know there's so many more that you want to talk about as well. So awesome update, thank you. I think for the entire community, there is an emotional response that everybody has when the markets crash, and when you look at companies that are going to withstand time, they have to have sound fundamentals. And this organization and the ecosystem that we're building has a solid community. It truly is the best community in crypto. Seeing the social engagement and the support and us kind of following trends and being trendsetters are ultimately the result of incredible fundamentals. This organization has built some incredible leaders that have come out of it. And it's ecosystems like this that have clear strategy, clear intention, and clear paths to success that will prevail during markets that are bad, that where tokens don't really have a purpose and there's so much hype around it. Like, we're building something that's very authentic, that is very in the future, but we're building towards problems that are showing up in the crypto ecosystem today, that are showing up across the federal government and enterprise organizations. There is a massive shift that's happening in the space. Working with partners like Givebox, where we're integrating into centralized banking and payment facilitations, gives us firsthand access to Visa, Amex, MasterCard. Those are the players that are working directly with PayFacs, not with aggregators. And this is giving us firsthand insight on what's coming down the road in terms of regulation. Our entire company was set up to build something that would matter to the people that are in charge of big business and regulators, while letting them not be in control of our network. And we set out to do that by building such a fundamental organization that was dedicated towards our community. So I can't thank you all enough for being a part of this journey. It's awesome to start to see everything come together. Our organization is growing. our products are being deployed left and right, and it's an incredible time to be in crypto and blockchain, especially with an organization like ours that's solving a lot of the issues that first generation crypto has and being at the center of attention during this next evolution. So I can't thank you all enough for being here, and I'm freaking excited.
Me too, buddy. This is great.
Thank you all. Have a better day. Let's crush this. Let's crush this. All right. Very excited, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.